Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the DXM podcast. I am Colborn Bell, and I am joined today by incredible artist, innovator, Fabin Rasheed. Welcome.
Hey, Colborn, thank you so much for inviting me over. Absolutely happy to be here conversing with you yet again.
Honor,
And
yeah,
yeah,
absolute
yeah,
honor and pleasure to have you here. I've told you again and again, you're absolutely one of my favorite creators in this space, because there's very demonstrable technical skill combined with just like this wild creative exploration. And we will certainly get into that, but I would love to give you the place that we give everybody to start, which is please let people know about you, perhaps a bit about your story, what led you to crypto art, and we'll take it from there.
all right, sounds good. So I'll just give a brief intro of my journey so far. I started off as an electronics engineer who went into learning a little bit of programming, who then went into delving a bit into design, and then over the course of time and a bunch of corporate explorations, I thought like, hey, this is not what I really want to do, and I ended up as an artist who has been exploring more or less digital media as such. Although I would say my creative explorations began probably 15 years back. I've been working with 3D early on during the old Max, 3D Max, earlier versions of 3D Max and everything, and also making some things with Flash. That was my earliest exploration on generative arts. But I think I've carried all those forward, and I've been mixing that in the NFT world. NFT world was like a breakthrough for me. I never realized that there is somewhere I could actually keep my digital artworks, exhibit it, and even sell it for that matter. I would say all thanks to Daim El Yad, who has been an amazing friend in this field. Who I met him in a generative art Slack group, and since then has been great. He introduced me to all these platforms, and since I think I started with Maker's Place, and then it's been a journey ever since.
Daim is absolutely incredible.
Yeah,
Again, just the intellectual depth, the creative process. Everybody definitely be sure to check out Daim's work as well.
absolutely. Yeah.
Great. So maybe we can begin to talk about, some of your earliest explorations in the field with the types of works you were creating.
All right. So I think I mean, although I've been doing a bunch of explorations for many years now, I think the highlight of my career as an artist came when I did this project called Aurea Kathy, which is a digital bot which posts in social media. It's an AI art bot which creates artwork based on a poem and publishes it to social media for 1 year. And this I did in 2018 with a friend of mine who's an engineer who works in artificial intelligence. And the whole AI art boom was happening, and I just got out of I was working with Adobe at that time. I just got out of Adobe, and thought like let me explore creatively. And this was one of my earliest exploration. And somehow the first exploration itself found an international venue to exhibit. I exhibited it at Florence for the Florence Biennale. I think that was a big breakthrough for me, and it was like a warm invite for me to the world of digital art as such, in a very sound format. And after that, I went into working with AI brushes. So one of my projects back at Adobe was with brushes, digital brushes. And I used to create a lot of. I used to. There was one project which I did where it was creating animation brushes where you paint animation using digital brushes. Like you don't create animation step by step, but you paint animation. So I just brought in that learning into creating digital brushes using artificial intelligence technologies for a year, and that had a bunch of exhibits from that part. And that is when I stumbled into NFTs. And I think, and probably at the same time, Museum of Crypto Art also started around. And one of the things my earliest exploration was to showcase some digital works which I've done so far into NFTs. I thought NFTs is like a portfolio showcase as such, but later on realized that this could be more than that. This could be more than just showcasing things, and the sales started happening. That's when I thought, like, and this is very crucial thing, is that I started talking to some of the platforms to see if we could actually have an NFT, an HTML website as an NFT. And this was earlier in probably March of 2020. Generative art was being published at that time, although it was as an image or video. But I wanted it to have a live presence. Of course, there was autoglyphs, which were some of the earliest explorations into creating getting data from the smart contracts and generating. There were a bunch of other explorations also.
So from there, what I believe is that you went to an artwork called Pilgrimage. Could you please let everybody know about this piece?
Yes, definitely. And I think this was the time when we actually started having conversations, Colborn, and I got to know you and your journey also, and a lot of folks in the area also was interested in participatory artworks, where you're releasing a work, but it's about the audience, it's about the community as such. So that is when I thought I was working on specifically. I was interested in if an NFT is available for everyone, can it also be not available for everyone to view as such? You have to go to a location. So I was just thinking of this idea, and I started making these location-based artworks. Location-based work. I was just iterating through this, and I thought, like, let me try making a work where people have to actually go to a place to collect this work. And this was this was just before my wedding also, and I met my fiance, and there's a whole backstory behind it. But we actually went through making this work where I created 9 3D models inspired from dance forms and many other gestural activities. I sculpted 9 3D forms, and I located them across 9 locations all around the world using GPS and some mobile technologies, and added an AR element to it, where the question was, if you get to travel to these locations and you actually use AR to record a video of this 3D object in that particular location, and these are tied to some monuments also, so record the monument also and share it in Twitter or any of the social media, the first person to do that will collect the NFT for free. That was the thing. And again, I do a lot of these experimental works, so I never expected anything to happen, because hey, this was COVID time. Okay, nobody is going to travel, everybody is in their homes right now, and I just released it. And 1 week, just 1 week, within 1 week, I think 8 out of the 9 models were collected. 9th one was collected a week after that. It was amazing to see. Yeah.
Well, and to be fair, that 9th one was in as I recall, a rather remote location in Japan.
Yeah, it was in the Todaiji temple in Japan, and I think that was the hardest one, probably.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I think all 8 of them. Some of them, one was in Museum of Modern Art, one was in Louvre Museum, one was in Nigeria, one was in India, one was. So what happened really was people were not traveling themselves, but they were connecting with friends of friends of friends, relatives, and contacts, new contacts, and everything. It was amazing to see, and I probably more than the sale of the artwork as such. It was the experience of people actually valuing the work, and also to take these videos in front of those iconic monuments, like the Christ the Redeemer statue in Rio de Janeiro, and you have your artwork right in front of it, and you're sitting at a remote location in the south of India, and that was really humbling to see. Yeah.
There's a couple of things there that I definitely want to unpack. I think first was just it was pivotal kind of in showing how ubiquitous these works could be, right? And kind of the global connections that were happening at the time, how really this was kind of one community that, you know, was really there for the arts. I mean, I believe it was Osinachi that collected the one in
Oh yeah,
Nigeria,
yeah,
right? It's
yeah.
just incredible, you know, to have another incredible artist at that time go out and feel so compelled to like support another artist's vision in this way. I think that's very telltale of that sign. The other thing I'd really like to dive into is this seems to be kind of like thematic through many of your works. You know, you have the art ask more of the people than just kind of the art itself or just the object. And I'm curious, perhaps, you know, where this comes from, because it is rather unique.
Yeah. I mean, I've always been. I mean, for the longest time, I've always been a bad storyteller. So I thought stories should be made on the course of my artwork, and I don't believe that the art making just the artwork is the story, and you wrap it up there. But the experience of whoever is experiencing the work is the story, and what happens both past that is also part of the story. And I've always felt that it's not like an artist, a singular artist creating something and just throwing it out. Hey, if you want, you take it. That's not how I would want probably my artworks to be experienced. I wanted probably if there is a possibility of people thinking a little bit more about it, and maybe even if I could inspire some of the folks to think of the status quo of things, and also in their own work, if there could be something from that, that would be really because I am inspired from a lot of people who has come before me. So kind of that yeah, I think opening it up to the audience, the story continues. There is a lot of feedback that comes in, and you also see that it's kind of like stepping over over a ledge of a mountain. You're like, you don't know what is going to happen. It might just blow up on your face. It might just be ignored completely. It could, anything could happen. Recently I released a work called The Lost Valor, which again you are kind enough to collect it. We can talk about it, but I really didn't know what was going to happen there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it had a great story because of the community.
Obviously, for so many people, the artwork kind of ends at the sale, right?
Yeah.
And yours really do continue to go on this journey. I don't know where we want to go. You mentioned, of course, the Lost Wallet. That was a fun challenge. Maybe first we talk about is it Appaloosa?
Alapura. Yeah.
Alapura. Yeah, sure, please.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I think this was again one of those times in your life where you contemplate a lot about what exactly are you doing in a creative way, and what exactly is art. What does art mean to you? What is the relation with it? And I've always believed that a work is not really coming mostly from here, but also from here. As in the relation to your work and the why behind the work is all probably coming from the emotions, the feelings, or the deeper intuitions of your mind probably. And I think this was a time when I was questioning myself a lot, and I wanted to create a work which was really close to my heart. And I come from this a town in South India called Alapura. It is a beautiful place with backwaters and beaches and all. And that's like the place which has you know taken me through a journey of healing. It has changed me completely, I would say. So I wanted to create a work on Alapura, and Art Blocks was having all these lot of sales at that time, and I was like, let me create a generative artwork, which probably could be in Art Blocks or not, but let me see how the journey goes. And this was probably the artwork which I've taken the longest time to create. It was more than 1.5 months long of just code, and it was just lines of lines of code. So Alapura is a work which is an illustration, kind of a aesthetic, which has an illustration kind of an aesthetic, but it is an animated work which changes based on the location. So where you're in Alapura, the artwork changes. It also changes based on the weather of Alapura, the time of viewing it, the seasons, and many other variables. So if it is raining in Alapura, it rains in the artwork. And this goes back to a lot of my explorations previously, connecting data with artworks and learning from a lot of people who have done that also. So all Alapura is completely created without any images or any SVGs or any drawing tools. It was created purely with code, lines and lines of code. All the animations, all the pieces in it was created, with precision based on code. It was also made accessibility friendly using alt text and everything, so that everyone could probably enjoy this piece of work. And I think my journey, I actually talked to the folks at Art Blocks if it could be one of their curated works, but it really, because it didn't have variations, I don't know why, but it didn't have variations. It didn't really fit the curated, selection part. So I really took it out as a one-on-one piece, and I minted it in my own contract and shared it with the world. So yeah, that is Alapura, and I think it just became suddenly popular when Murad Pak, who has been a great supporter of some of my works, and he just tweeted it, and suddenly people who were just starting to be in my place, nobody really knew about NFTs. Nobody really knew. Most of India, it was just starting up, and then suddenly they hear this from Murad Pak about Alapura, and everybody started waking up to it, having conversations with me, and yeah, it was such a great journey then. Yeah.
Maybe we can talk about that, because I recognize you tremendously as a great leader and mentor of many artists in India and beyond. Do you feel a bit of that responsibility? Do you consider yourself to be, very much leading in this regard?
So again, I have a problem with the word leading. I would probably select the word enabling, but but I really resonate with what you say, and I really try to do my best to share whatever learnings I have got in this space. And this is again learnings from people before me, people who have come to the space before me, including you, Jason Bailey, a lot of other folks. They've been. All Jason Bailey always says, you give more than what you take from the space. So it's kind of translating to that. So I've been teaching at colleges. I've been mentoring folks in this field. I also started a forum. I recently am part of building an NFT platform also for some folks from for emergent artists from Southeast Asia, Middle East, those regions, which haven't had a lot of visibility that way also. So I try to pass on whatever I've got, whatever benefits I've got from this space. I do my best to pass out that way. So yeah, I think that's what I would say.
Yeah. It's. I just wanted to highlight it because I recognize your work, and I know so many others do too. And of course, it's increasingly rare in the space, but I think this was always the lifeblood of the space, right? That people were willing to be so generous with their time, the ability to onboard and uplift others into the space to help them realize how powerful and enabling these tools can be. And I think both as a person and through your body of work, you really showcase the breadth of possibilities for people here. And it's impressive. And I just thank you for being that person.
Well, thank you. Thank you for saying that and for being and supporting me in this journey.
Always.
A lot of,
Yeah, I recognize it, certainly. Where should I, why don't I tell a story? I think one of our most successful events at the Museum of Crypto Art was when we did this India art swap inside kind of like the online version of the museum.
Yeah.
And we had 3 artists. It couldn't have been 3. Was it 3?
Yeah, it was. It was Leia, Arundhati, and I don't remember. There was another person also. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was one of our most well-attended events. I think, so how do you, maybe we can talk about India if you're open to it, and kind of, and kind of maybe what you perceive to be kind of like the fabric of the society, if there's a use case for cryptocurrency, how people might be experiencing the metaverse.
So about cryptocurrency specifically, or let's start with cryptocurrency. It's really something very new. I mean, right now it is much more common, but a few years back, it's something which is considered a taboo, I would say.
Right.
It's like something where it's like a get rich quick scheme, or a lot of fraud happening, and it's kind of a scam or something. So people were very dicey about getting into this, even thinking about investing their money. And it was really hard to, even for me, to understand what cryptocurrency was initially. Not the technology as such, and that's something which I could get, but the whole philosophy behind it about decentralization, where it comes from. Coming from a place like India, I never could resonate with some of it easily, but I had to do my work to study and understand that. So it's even now, for that matter, it's not a place where it's completely open to the concept of decentralization, or maybe decentralization, but concept of cryptocurrency as such, and also NFTs as such, because and this comes from being from this place that a lot of times when there is a lot of money involved in things, the emotion is more or less like we should be careful about this. And I've seen that happen in many of the things that happen in India. So it's really tricky right now. A lot of taxes and regulations have been imposed on NFTs, and things are a bit too slow picking up there. Having said that, the art scene has been so vibrant in India over the course of many years, for that matter. People never stopped creating art. And I think from my own place, my own state of Kerala, and all over India, people have been pushing towards NFTs also. I know a lot of amazing artists from India who have been not stopped by any of these. They have been creating a lot of digital art from all formats and publishing. Yeah.
Will you share some names with people?
Definitely. That's I would start with Amrit Pal, Leia Matikshara. These are all good friends. I would say Melvin Thambi. There is Anand. There is Hari Menon. There is Vimal Krishnan. Probably, when you suddenly asked, I might have skipped some. Arundhati, of course. A lot of amazing folks. You just sit and you can narrate a lot of names. But yeah. Of course, Mehak Jain and Jatin Pati has been my best friends in this area for a long time, and not necessarily in India. I would really, my longest friend in the NFT space has been Indrani, besides Dame. So Indrani Mitra, who's also part of the Genesis collection of Museum of Crypto Art.
Yeah. I had the pleasure of visiting once, and I've seen the museum really take much more of a hold in places that would be perhaps considered more developing economies, whether that is South America or Southeast Asia or India, and that for me is really fascinating. How do you feel about kind of the ability to, of course, like NFTs as a distribution mechanism, right? Perhaps, the traditional Western white male canon, and suddenly there being more of global access to markets, to creation, to having your art. Is this important to you?
100%, maybe more than that.
Yeah.
Why I would say is because I come from a remote town in India. I had my chances with Adobe and other companies to have some global exposure, but I never thought my works could be viewed by the world, like that. And also, I know social media has its reach, but I've been posting in social media, but it never reached anywhere. And this is the story which comes from a lot of people from here. They put out a work in the NFT world, they share a tweet about it, and they build a community around it. And after that, it's a global audience for them, and it might not, some of their work might not resonate with people from India itself. It might resonate with some person in the north of Sweden, or in the south of South Africa, for that matter. But that is the joy in it, that the people who really appreciate your work it's diverse all around the world. And it gives meaning for people, that it's I'll just quote one of my friends who said this, like, in India, if you are, I mean, from where I am, if I am in the arts, if I'm taking arts, like, I'm a gone case. Nobody really,
Yeah.
not really. What are you doing with your life? You should be either an engineer or a doctor.
Right.
What are you doing with your life? That's the question really that used to come. Arts is not something so vibrantly discussed. I mean, arts is discussed, but the whole concept of taking arts as a career is kind of something resistant in the Indian community, for that matter. So that is when NFTs come up, and there's a whole lot of conversation on how Indian artists are being uplifted through this, and it actually helps them make a living, and that has really helped. Although still the narrative, and I have to say this, but the narrative is still a bit more Western right now.
Yeah.
It has seeped into a lot of, I know NFT Asia and communities from India are building up the stories here. And, a lot of things are coming up all around the world, and I would love to see more of it. I see this as a global canvas, and, we are all painting on it together in a collaborative fashion.
And I just to bring it a little bit full circle, I think Pilgrimage was just like such an exemplar of that philosophy.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So safe to say, you don't think NFTs are a fad.
I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be talking to you.
Yeah, back to the real work. It's how did it make you feel to kind of watch this market evolve and change, and perhaps shift away from the core values and to be where we are today?
And this is something we've all discussed a lot about. I would say that it is good that the whole world just opened up to NFTs, and big sales happened, and there is a lot of interest in it. And even for that matter, a lot of investors have come into the scene, may it be for flipping, may it be for investing long term, whatever it is. I am really happy that it has opened up the possibilities, but it comes with a lot of other problems. And I've always believed in inclusivity than replacement, and this is probably where I would be in a small amount of conflict with some of the OGs here. It's that I don't believe all systems are to be replaced completely, may it be traditional art forms, or the concept of having people helping you, or people selling your work for you, or something like that. What I would feel is to enhance and improve on the system is what we should probably be doing. And I see a lot of possibility there. When you talk about AI art, AI is going to replace all forms of creativity. Digital art is replacing older traditional methods, and completely. That's not something which is actually happening. I don't think it will happen. Also, painting will have its value. All the other art forms will have its value, and we should be thinking of enhancing it and improving it and enabling it and bringing that culture all along. Or else we don't want to lose culture, right? We want all cultures to grow together. So that's really where I think. And to answer your question, I think it's good that it happened, but it has its bad things. It's always up to us to make sure that we mitigate that and actively do that. I mean, I've also been part of the greed cycle. I've also been victim to it, and I've also gone through it. But yeah, it's probably for us to take a step back and contemplate on it, and think what to do.
So, I think certainly it's been bittersweet, right? There has been there was a incredible solid core, a feeling of community tightness, association among the artists and the collectors that I don't think we can ever get back. It was small, it was special, it was that like little village. And like most things when they're talked about,
it was amazing. It was amazing. Nobody would even understand what our emotions are towards it. It was really
Yeah, you can't. It was so special. It had its own. You really can't understand unless you were there, and there is no analogy to even remotely describe it. But I think also it was an important and interesting test, right? The bull market, because just like the speed, the frenetic, like how much people were consuming or speculating or what these dollars actually meant. I really think it went far to show intentions of people and not to kind of judge people's intentions. Everybody has a different reason for doing whatever they might. But more importantly, I think like who is left and what is left and what does the work kind of stand for over that time. Again, I'm going to just like give you incredible compliments for the power of the work, the intentionality of the work that you created, and always kind of bringing important, different philosophical questions to the forefront. I know there's a couple projects we haven't touched on. We can definitely talk about the Lost Wallet, but is there anything else that we might have missed that you'd like to discuss?
Sure. There is one project I can talk about. It's called Leave Me Be, if you know about it. So Leave Me Be is a project where so it's essentially a question asking. I mean, it's essentially questioning the audience, right? It was a work which I created out of studying a lot of studying a lot of people with trauma and what they've been through and the journey of that. Myself, who has my own experiences on the emotional part of things, and the psychological journey, the spiritual journey, the philosophical journey. And the question really, it was just an artwork which used a machine learning algorithm to detect a face in front of the device, and it just changes to a picture. I mean, it's a generative art essentially, and it creates a trail of blood which comes out of a crack in the face of a person when a person stands in front of the image. So essentially, there is this kintsugi like gold beading which had healed. I mean, which represents a wound that has healed over years of contemplation and meditation and everything, and then suddenly this one person comes in front of it and it starts bleeding. So that really was a question I wanted to ask, like, what if you're the cause of that bleeding? What would then? I mean, it went into a little deep thought process there. But added to that, when I released it, I thought, like, this has a story, but let me not sell this for money as a currency. Let me sell it for story as a currency. You tell me a story and I will give it to the best person who tells the story which I can solidly relate to. And this was,
I mean, again, I think thematic, we see the theme of storytelling, right? We see you trying to unpack like larger narratives, more interactive narratives. The piece is always kind of symbolic of that, but it's also very much tied to the experiences that people are having around the piece. And that added layer of depth, again, I think is so fascinating. I try to do that, and it really gets a view from, it just separates you from a singular vision. You get a vision from the other side also, right? And that's largely what life is about. You need to really empathize and find the other view, and then you all merge together, right? So I mean, I think all of your work has a way of facilitating a connection that makes the world smaller, right? That makes the distance between us not feel so great. It makes it feel more like interconnected and together, and frankly hopeful. And let's talk about the lost wallet, because I know there was a lot of those questions that you were posing as well.
Yeah. So, I created a series of work, including perhaps the other one which I talked about, which was not sold at all. It was given out free, essentially. There was no money that I got. Everything had a story behind it. And this, again, was one of those works, probably, because I really, I did get 10 mocha, which Untitled.xyz had sent me, which was awesome. He's an awesome person. But
yes.
I would say, essentially, this was not something where I got paid for. The question really was, there is this intrinsic problem with the NFT world about people converging towards money as means of, everything for that matter. The whole conversation was around this concept, and I was like, what if you get it just like that? What would you do with it? And I really wanted to know what is the current pulse of the community being a bear market, and gone through the bear market for many months for that matter. Now, are we all still in the trend that, we need to get paid or something like that? I just wanted to know. And that is when I created this lost wallet concept. And it's not probably an artwork, or it's more of an experiment, I would say. It's where I did draw an analogy with a physical wallet being lost in the in an open area, and what would you do if you find such a lost wallet? In the Web3 world, what I did was to write the seed phrase of the NFT write the seed phrase of the wallet. I put the seed phrase of the wallet into the NFT, which was there in the wallet itself. So essentially, anyone could just open up the wallet. And I put a bunch of 3 or 4 of my own NFTs inside the wallet. And I also put $100 worth of USDT in it. So this is essentially a Web3 wallet out in the open. I tweeted about it, and it's out in the open. Anyone can just do whatever they want with this wallet. So what I after release was, I thought somebody is going to steal the whole money and just go away. That's really what I was expecting. Again, it's open to the crowd. I really want to know what is happening. And this is also a project where I wanted to question myself on what am I feeling about this NFT world, the bear market, and everything. What I did see, and this was very, very inspirational, that the community opened the wallet. Many of them opened the wallet, but kept it just like that. They didn't do anything with it. One person actually transferred 0 ETH out of the wallet with some gas money to show that he had actually opened this wallet. What happened really was people just opened the wallet and closed it. Nobody really took any money from it. Untitled.xyz, he donated 10 mocha into it. Another person who actually opened the wallet sent 0 ETH out of the wallet to say that, hey, I did open it. I want to be part of this history. And to make a mark, he did it. Few other folks donated NFTs into it, saying that, hey, we also want to be part of this history. And it was amazing when Colborn and Museum of Crypto Art came in and actually took all the money and transferred it back to me, and took the TLW NFT, which had the seed phrase of the wallet, to the Museum of Crypto Art permanent collection. This is very inspirational for myself. I mean, I created the work, but what the community perceived this artwork to be, what the community perceived the status quo of the community to be, and what is in people's mind really gave me hope, gave us all hope for that matter, that even if you find money lying around, you won't really take it. This is really a inspiring kind of a thought that came up. And the journey of the lost wallet still continues. People are throwing in viruses into it. People are trying a lot of amazing things. But I mean, it's all not. I wouldn't say it's malicious things. It's all even if it is a virus, it's a technological innovation which they have actually talked about and shared about it. It's really interesting to see how people are using that. But I think the biggest thing is that Museum of Crypto Art brought it to the permanent collection. I'm really grateful for that.
Well, I'll say just from the user experience side, right? I saw it about maybe after 20 minutes on Twitter, and I'm a non-technical person, right? So I have to say this was certainly a very, very good test for me, right? Because of course, like I'm on OpenSea following the link that I know, but OpenSea has kind of redundant storage. It's not the original file, right? So, so there was no seed phrase in the file that OpenSea had. I had to go and figure out how to query from your manifold contract the token URI. And for me to piece together how to eventually get there and do that, and where the seed phrase was located in that token URI was a challenge. And it took me 20-30 minutes, but I appreciated that. I appreciated that part of the journey. And then of course, once I'm in, well, I'm sitting a bit on this ticking time bomb of what do I do? So I, now that I'm in, I'm excited that I got in, but I have the moral question of, and to be fair, I think I took 69 cents for my efforts.
Well earned.
Yes.
No, but I mean, I really, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you taking that time to actually, go through piecing it out and transferring it. It's like you really make a work, and it's the people you really resonate with, understands the work, and they give value to it. That really just blows my mind, that way. So much grateful for that. Yeah.
It's, I mean, at the end of the day, the ripple effects of the energy that we put out, right? It is very much leaping off a cliff. You have no idea, but to see even just like the slightest pickup is always really one of the most inspiring things. And it's motivating every day, just like the magic that is created in the space, the synergy that is connected, the closeness that we can still experience through the art, through the interaction, is I think ultimately what makes it so special, so fun, and such a privilege to be here every day.
Yeah, 100%. I'm completely on board on that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think we are unfortunately out of time. I give Fabin the last word to you, and please do let people know where they can find you, where they can find your artwork, and if you would like to be contacted.
All right. Thank you, Colborn. This has been great. I think, people can easily find me in Twitter, of course. It's @Fabin Rasheed, FABINRASHEED. But more often, you can see myself curating some of my work in the pinned tweet on my Twitter or on my website, which is nurecast.com. I also have an Instagram presence, but that's largely I would say I'm a chaotic explorer. I just create anything and everything. So you can see that in my Instagram. But I think that's where you can find me. And this has been such a great opportunity. And always happy to talk to you, Colborn. You just, yeah.
I'm super grateful for being, I think we've been working alongside each other now for a very long time. It's nothing but mutual respect and admiration for all that you do. Continue to just create freely, be the incredible leader and innovator that you are. Really, I appreciate the time and am very grateful.
Thank you, Colborn. Means a lot. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
So we'll sign out here. I'm Colborn Bell, Museum of Crypto. We're with artist Fabin Rasheed. Thank you so much to DMINTI for putting us together and the production of this episode, and we will catch everybody next time.
Breaking news.